5 of my current commission, and I'm starting on the second dog. So if you have been watching my lives, you would have seen me do the background, complete the first dog, and now I'm on to the second, which is the last bit. I'm excited to see what the whole thing will look like. I'm sure you are too. So I'll quickly take you through my setup and how I've arranged cameras and things like that in case you're interested in trying to film your own artwork. And yeah, and then you can watch me draw. So let me just turn you around. So this is my setup. As you can see, I've got my commission drawing here. I've taped it down using low tack artist tape. This is where I have my reference image. So I have photoshopped this image, and I'm using the tablet to draw from here, so I can easily zoom in, zoom out, see what I'm doing to create this drawing. I'm also fully recording it on this GoPro, creating a time lapse so I can see it drawn from start to finish. I'm also using this Canon camera to record any small details and in real time work that I can then create other videos from. I've got my lighting up here on this bar so I can easily see my artwork. It's a little bit reflective on this camera, but it's not actually that reflective where I'm working. And then here I've got all my pencils. I'm currently trying to go through and finish all my little ones, so I don't normally have this many out. It's just that I'm trying to finish my smaller pencils, and then I get any other pencils I need from the sides here and here. So let's get started. So today I'm be drawing this one. I'm going to go through and do all the darkest black areas and start on the nose area and just really trying to pull it out from the background. This one is finished, I'd say. So I've gone in and done all the little white hairs and things earlier. I might go back once this one is complete and do the same thing, just to make sure all those little white hairs and stuff are as good as they can look. So let me just place you, turn you around, sorry, up here. And zoom in. Apologies, just okay. Hopefully you can see. Oops, sorry. YouTube is very difficult to zoom in and out with. Okay, hopefully you can see enough there. Wonderful. Okay, let's get going. Please let me know if you can't hear me or see me or any sort of technical things like that, and I will try and sort it out. So here today I've started going in all the darkest areas and colouring it with a Caran d'Ache Luminance Ultramarine Blue. Before that I was using Pan Pastel, the black Pan Pastel, with a soft tool to add in basically block in any of my darkest areas, all the very black areas that I can see on my reference picture. So this is the soft tool. It's got a nice little sharp point, which is really good for getting in any details and areas that are harder with other tools. And Pan pastels are tea, and they last a really long time because they're very pigmented. So if you haven't heard of them, get some, try them out. This is like the grey selection, so these go from white to grey. to black. Very, very useful for any sort of pet portraits really, or backgrounds, or anything that you're trying to do. So here we go. You always want to follow the fur direction, even though this layer won't necessarily be seen because it's the underlayer to the black, but you always want to keep the direction coherent and emphasize that direction with the layers. Now the reason why I'm doing blue first is to make the black like a deep black. If you go straight on and do black straight away, it can become very flat and shiny and it won't look very realistic. So this stops it doing that, gives it a bit more depth in the fur layering. So if you do want to, if you're drawing a black cat or a black dog, or any sort of black animal, I would always do blue first. Do the blue undercoat, shade in the darkest areas, the very black areas. You don't need to do the blue in obviously all the shiny reflective areas. This is for the darkest areas, because it would avoid it becoming flat. Once it's flat, it's very hard to change, especially with colour pencil. Thank you again so much for joining me. It's a shame this portrait is coming to an end. I've really enjoyed drawing it and doing something a bit different. It's just been so vibrant and colourful, and the next piece I'll be doing actually is just a black background similar to one I did before this one, and then the piece after this I'll be doing is very similar. It's for the same client, so it will again have their orchids. So the client grows orchids in their garden, so they wanted to include it with the portrait of their pets, and I thought that was such a wonderful idea. So I'll be doing the same thing again with their next commission. I just haven't decided what colour orchids to go for yet, so that'll be super fun. It's been interesting trying to get the different layers of background, middle ground and foreground. So here you can see it's very blurry here, well, trying to be blurry here anyway. Then in the middle ground it's very strong, sharp. You can see a lot more details, and then the very front here it's blurry again because that's the foreground. So I'm trying to create 3 layers in this image, which helps to create a lot of depth. It's more interesting than having just a white background, I think, which is, you know, it's still nice. But as an artist, it's nice to try and do different things, use a bit of my artistic license to make a portrait more interesting. Oh, hello, Clara. Thank you so much for joining. Please feel free, anyone who's listening, to ask me any questions or just say hi. Let me know what you're up to right now on this fine Saturday night. Are you an artist? Are you not? You know, anything. Be nice to chat. I'm reading the messages as I draw, so I don't do many of these lives or for very long. I do for about 40 minutes maximum, just because it's actually very hard to draw and concentrate and then dictate what I'm doing back to you guys, and also keep checking messages and like seeing if there's any technical issues, and you know, just doing too many things at the same time, I think, and also listening out for my baby in case my baby cries because she is currently asleep. So yes, lots going on while I do this lovely portrait. But I have really enjoyed doing these lives. Okay, so Clara has a question. What paper do I use? This isn't pastel matte paper. This is more of a smooth paper. It's Canison mixed media paper, a very simple one. I used to use super smooth Bristol board paper, but I did find it wasn't quite enough layers for me. But I used that one for years. I really like it. It was very bright white paper, which is really nice. I don't really like paper that's yellow because I use some of the whitest areas I have is still the paper, so I like to have quite a bright paper. And then I started using this one, the Canison mixed media paper, which is really nice actually. It's got a few more layers than the super smooth, but it's still quite smooth paper, I'd say. This isn't pastel matte. I've just used a little bit of pastel. As you can see, the pastel is very thin layer really. It's mainly just to block in the areas to make sure that I don't get white shining through, especially with the black areas or like these green areas. Like, I don't like any paper shining through for my style, so the pastel really helps me get rid of that quickly. I know that some artists do use pastel matte just for colour pencil and because it holds a lot of layers. I personally haven't tried it. I do have some. I've been meaning to try it. I just haven't got round to it, so I definitely will at some point. But I have really enjoyed using very white, smooth paper. I haven't found it really an issue in terms of running out of layers. I think if you go in quite gently to start with, especially when you're in the initial stage, just blocking things in. Oh, sorry, you can't see what I'm doing down there. I'll work mine on the top. I forgot that this camera doesn't go all the way down. It won't let me move it down, so I'll just have to work on the top. That's fine. Okay, so now I'm going to use the black Caran d'Ache Luminance pencil and basically go over what I've been doing with the blue, but this time I'm gonna press a little bit harder and try and get that darker shade in. Normally with colour pencil you would work light to dark, but I mainly like to do the darkest bits first to give me to understand the values of this piece, to help give me a reference point, to know what my midtones are and that kind of thing. So I like to do all the darkest bits first, so hence I've done the nose and the eyes first, so as a reference point for structure, and now I'm doing the black as a reference point for colour and tone and values. So Clara said she heard my interview on the Bonnie Snowdon podcast and enjoyed hearing my story and about my art. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you listening to that. I enjoyed that interview with Bonnie. I'd been meaning to chat to her for a while because we both started art at the same time, which was really nice. Or started pet portraits at the same time, so it's always nice to chat to someone who's been doing it as long as you, and just so interesting really. We've taken different paths in it. Yes, I really appreciate you listening to that, and thank you. I've done quite a few podcasts with some amazing artists, like the Artist Academy podcast is a really good one if you're interested in like mural art or just sort of learning about other artists, business side of art, that kind of thing. I don't have a podcast, But if you are very keen to sell your artwork and learn more about the actual business side of it, there is a website called artismycareer.com where you can go, and there's just an abundance of information on there of pricing your artwork, how to sell your artwork, what kind of streams you can go into as an artist, even interviews with other artists. Also, the book I wrote, Art is My Career, How to Start an Art Business, literally includes everything that I've done in my career so far to get here, basically. All social media, website, customer acquisition. So if you're interested in knowing any of the business side and knowing how to do it for yourself, then it's worth reading. I color coordinated it and made it very pretty, so it's not just like big block pages to read. It's actually more like a textbook, with how to's and step by steps rather than a novel. So I've made it very easy for anybody to understand and read it and being able to actually follow through. So it's a very helpful guide for people. And if you are a pet portrait artist, it's worth knowing that the Pet Portrait Artist Club will be launching very soon, which is a membership for pet portrait artists where we can all come together as a community, support each other, as well as also there's an affiliate scheme, so you can earn money while being in the club, which is very helpful on the side, and also an opportunity to have recognition for your work. So you can apply to be on the Pet Portrait artist list, which is a list for any potential customers to see and know, who are the professional artists and who they can commission, safely, and they're all vetted. It will be the Pet Portrait Club community will be voting on these artists, so we'll help each other to get on this list, and help each other improve as artists if that's what you want to do, or if you just want to be on there to chat to people like you who love drawing pets. It's for any medium, not just colour pencil. So if you are a pet portrait artist, then please go to petportraitartistclub.com and make sure you have signed up for the waiting list. It's launching very soon, so don't miss out. So I'm still going through and colouring all the darkest bits. Oh, brilliant. Clara says that she has my book on Audible, so that's brilliant. I'm so pleased that you have found it helpful. I also have another book called How Do Artists Make Money? So if you are struggling to make a consistent income with your art, or figuring out what else you should be doing or selling, or how to start doing things like how to start doing prints or whatever, in that book it tells you how to do it. Very simply, covers a lot of areas. I think there's 25 different income streams I go through and tell you how to start them. So that's also on Amazon, as Audible as well as paperback. So if you are struggling to figure out what else to do or how to grow your business, I strongly advise you get that book, because it's a great starting point for giving you any ideas and telling you the websites and links to actually get started. So I've written all these books to help artists because I feel like all the knowledge should be shared. So as I learn things, as I do things, I want to share them with other people, and I want to help other people grow their businesses. I want to help other people be artists if that's what you want to be. I am strongly of the, I've always thought that, art is a real career path. I was always told it wasn't really. Like, you have to be an engineer or a doctor or anything like that. Like, no one really says, oh, you should be an artist because it's a safe career path. But actually, like, it's such a good one to do. And, if you work hard enough, it's definitely something that can rival any type of engineer or doctor income. There's so many artists making, hundreds of thousands a year. There is no reason why you can't do the same. Especially nowadays with social media, it's just transformed the market. Like, nobody is reliant on galleries and exhibits anymore. You can reach your customers from around the other side of the globe. It just makes it so much easier. You just have to learn how to do it. And so that's what my books have been about, really. I'm learning and I'm telling what I know as I go. And hopefully helping a lot of people realize their dreams. Well, thank you, Darren. I'm pleased that you can't wait for the club to launch. I love your music, by the way. For those of you listening, you need to go to Darren's YouTube and listen to her amazing, amazing music. The colour pencil does take quite a while. It's not the fastest medium, but I feel like it does, the effect you can create is like a painting. So if you're not comfortable mixing paints or using paints, or I actually got into colour pencil because I didn't like washing brushes. And I know that's not like the main reason to launch a whole career in one medium, but it was the main reason I started using pencils in the first place. I wanted to get back into art. I was living in a studio apartment. I really didn't feel like, doing loads of washing every time like I had finished painting or whatever. And I'm awful at washing my brushes. They always went dry and hard, and then I had to keep buying more because I didn't know how to clean them properly and revive them. So I thought, oh, well, colour pencils, I could just leave them on the table or put them back in a tin, or much easier. And you can still create like amazing, realistic, vibrant artwork. So that's why I got into colour pencil in the first place. Before that, I used to do quite a lot of oil painting. But as I said, I'm not very good at keeping my brushes clean, so this is much easier for me. But a lot of the pencils I used are wax and oil based. So that's why you can still get the same vibrant effects as you would an oil painting, because it's essentially the same, just in a different form. Yes, Cara's saying that she's frustrated with Instagram. I think a lot of people are frustrated with Instagram at the moment. It's not just you. Even I am sometimes. Like, with Instagram, I've realised it doesn't matter about the quantity of people following you. It's more about the quality. So if you've got 1,000 people that absolutely love your artwork, they're going to follow through. They're going to subscribe to your newsletter. They're going to commission you. They're going to be heavily involved. If you've got, I don't know, 50,000 people that don't really care about your work, they're just following you for the sake of following you, it's not going to translate to anything. So I wouldn't go by just the numbers. I would go on engagement, like how many people are actually commenting or liking or enjoying your work. And if they're not, then I wouldn't bother with Instagram anymore. I would find another platform where you can talk to people, where people can feel like they can talk to you about your artwork, where you feel appreciated. Because just, you know, trying using a platform that doesn't complement what you're doing is not the way to go. Just because everybody's on it doesn't mean it's the right one, or it feels like everybody's on it. I think it's good to have a profile on Instagram. Like for me, I have it on there, and then but I actually post from Facebook because I get a lot of my customers from Facebook, not Instagram. Even though I technically have more followers on Instagram, I've made maybe one sale in 7 years on Instagram, so it's definitely not about the numbers. But most of the people that are my community that I love, that support me, they're all on Facebook, and so I talk to them and I commit more of my time and effort to my Facebook community, and then I just repost it from Facebook because you can do that now using the Meta Business Suite or whatever it's called. So you don't even need to go on Instagram to post anything anymore if you don't want to, if it's giving you a headache. Just go where your fans actually are. You know, where have you been commissioned before? If it's mostly word of mouth, then keep that going. Tell your customers that, you know, if they tell their friends about you, they can get 10% off their next one. Like keep the word of mouth going. It's important to not, or like to forget about the people that have already commissioned you or already bought your artwork. Like they're your trusted customers. They already trust you. They've bought your artwork. They've sent you money. It's easier to get them to buy more than it is to find someone completely new. So don't forget about those people. And also, you know, they're your supporters. They're your super fans. So it's very important to keep them close. Yes, Clara, I have a business page on Facebook. You used to have a business page on Facebook in order to have a business page on Instagram. I don't know if that's the case anymore, but if I were you, I would have a business page on Facebook because then you can have your website and everything on it, and it's like a proper official business. Just like you would a website. If you don't have a website, get a website, because again, the more things you have in your control, the better. With a website, you can get people to sign up for your email list, and those are your list of people that are, you know, very interested in what you do. And you can, so, you know, say Facebook went down today or tomorrow, you've still got that list of people. You've still got people coming to your website. Like it doesn't matter too much, you know. You've got to try and have control over your business and what you're doing. I do talk about this a lot in my book and various other things. If you ever need dedicated one-on-one help, I do mentoring, and you're welcome to book a session with me anytime. Okay, so I think that's enough black. I see some brown in my drawing. So this is a Caran d'Ache Pablo. I find the Caran d'Ache Pablos a lot like Faber-Castell Polychromos. They're a harder pencil. There's a few more colour variations in their pack, in their set, and they go nicely over the top of the Caran d'Ache Luminance. So these are a harder pencil, so they're much better for detail. The Caran d'Ache ones I've just been using are better for blending, so I like to have them as the the first few layers. And then I do all my detailed fur with the harder pencils like Faber-Castell Polychromos and Caran d'Ache Pablos. The Caran d'Ache Pablos I've only really been using for the last few years. I didn't start off using them, so that I wouldn't say they're essential, but they've got really nice, like they've got other colours that aren't in the Polychromos, and I think they mix a lot better actually with the Caran d'Ache. So it depends on your style, and it depends on what you're doing and how you're using the pencils. Everybody's different. So I wouldn't say my way is the right way, but it seems to suit my style a bit more with these pencils. No problem, Clara. I'm glad you find this useful. Yes, if you get the physical book as well, it is a lot easier to see what I'm talking about, because then, yes, it's nice to listen to a book on Audible, but because my book is like color coordinated with like flow charts and visual guidance, it's a lot easier to see what I'm talking about if you have it physically in front of you. So I would always advise to get the physical copy as well as the Audible, so you can switch between the two or listen to them both at the same time. Okay, so this is Caran d'Ache Luminance, what is it, silver grey, and I'm now going over the top to enhance any highlighty areas that I may have slightly coloured over, or just to emphasize it back in so I don't lose it. I should probably start wearing my compression gloves. I've started having bad wrists lately. I think I press very hard sometimes. You probably shouldn't. But sometimes I just can't help it, and then I realise that my wrists and my hands hurt, so it's no good. But I do find you need to press harder with the lighter colours to get them over the dark. So if I was to do that, look, it looks so much better. Gosh, it's been 35 minutes already. That's gone so quickly. Time flies when you're having fun, eh? I'll probably just do a little bit more live, maybe 5-10 more minutes. And then I'll have to love you and leave you. Not that I don't like drawing live, it's just it's quite difficult to concentrate and talk at the same time, and I don't want there to be a lot of like dead air if you're watching me, so this is basically what I'd keep doing. Let me just show you the reference picture. You can't see it from there. Let me put it here. So this is what I've done so far. So you can see he is quite dark around here, so I'm trying to keep as much highlights as possible because I don't want any of the structure to get lost. But then I'll keep going back and darkening it because it's easier to keep something light rather than trying to revive it after you've gone too far dark. So I'm just going to keep gradually darkening it with more and more black, or what's called glazing, which is when you gently colour over the top to make something darker, like say this dark brown. I'll gently colour over the top like this and make that slightly more darker, slightly more brown. But because I'm doing it gently and I'm not going in with like a full force of colour, it's not leaving like mark, it's more like glazing over what's already there and just slightly changing the depth of it. I will probably do some sort of tutorial at some point, but at the moment I'm just going to do these lives because I've been quite enjoying it. So I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Here is the drawing. You can see what I've been up to. How do we get on the website for the Pet Portrait Artist Club? I'll just go to www.petportraitartistclub.com. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining me. It's been a real pleasure. Yeah, and if you have any more questions, please feel free to comment below. I will put a link to all the materials I've been using in the description as soon as I come off this live. So you can click on those links and get any of the materials that I've been using, the paper, the pastels, the pencils, anything that you've been looking for, it will be in the description. And I'll also put the link to the Pet Portrait Club as well. So thank you so much and have a wonderful night. Bye.